renounced order of life should not be allured by the glamour of the householder's worldly possessions and thus become subservient to worldly men. For one who is in the renounced order of life, this is much more dangerous than drinking poison and committing suicide. Om Agyanati Mirandasya Jananjanan Salakaya Chaksu Militam Nina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Go Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. P. Sukadeva Goswami was accustomed to stay at the door of a householder only long enough for a cow to be milked. And he did this just to sanctify the residence. So this is a very beautiful and instructive verse and purport. Anytime we speak about Sukadeva Goswami and his encounter with Parikshit Maharaj, it should remind us of the importance of our human life. This morning I'm listening to Srila Prabhupada's lecture, and he's talking about this meeting with Sukadeva Goswami and Emperor Parikshit at the more or less beginning of the Kali Yuga. And the king was cursed to die within 7 days. And then Prabhupada, of course, says we have no indication how many moments we have, what to speak of the warning of 7 days. So we have no idea. We could die in 1 minute, as Srila Prabhupada says, or 7 days, or 7 weeks, or 7 years. Nothing is guaranteed. And then Srila Prabhupada says, as sure as death. He explained that the saints and sadhus, they remember this impending change from this bodily existence to another existence. Dehantara praptir dhirastattanamuyati. So we're changing our bodies constantly. So the saintly persons, they know that, they remember that, they reinforce that, reinforcing by hearing from Shastra, from sadhus, from the gurus, saintly persons, constantly reinforcing the precarious condition that we find ourselves in. So the saintly person, obviously, when they go from here to there, they are very protective of their developing consciousness. That's why whatever you expose yourself to, through sight, through sound, through smell, through taste, through touch, we have to manage those experiences to the best of our ability. Manage in the sense that we should try to engage in those activities which will enhance our Krishna consciousness. We should constantly be reevaluating the course of our activities during the day, what we do, how we do it. As Srila Prabhupada says, rise early in the morning and chant Hare Krishna, read Shastra, worship the deity. So many nice things. These are not punishments. These are not intrusions on our privacy. These are the regulative principles of freedom. These are the things that will liberate us. And they will reinforce the realization that this body, this life, is all temporary. So the saintly person is absorbed in this meditation. It's not a negative meditation. Sometimes we may think, oh, that's a morbid way of thinking. If you explain this to ordinary people, they say, why are you being so morbid, so negative? I believe one time someone asked, why does Prabhupada, why is he always frowning? Seems like he doesn't smile. He's absorbed in reality. Smiles are coming from his joy of Krishna consciousness, but the reality of what this world is, he knows that, he's conscious of that. So wherever Srila Prabhupada went, he was absorbed in his realization, that could be this last moment for me. So let me serve Krishna in this moment. Yam yam vapi smaram bhavam tajanti hi kalevaram. Whatever I'm thinking at the time of death, by that grace of the Lord, maybe I can go back home, back to Godhead. So let me focus. So when the sadhu, just like Sukadeva Goswami, when he goes to a grihasta's house, it's only long enough to bless them. not to fill his belly or his pockets. We have to be careful of that, that we are doing our services, especially when we're visiting the homes of other persons or we're going out into the general public or wherever. We should have a purpose in mind, and that purpose is to bless them with Krishna consciousness. Find a way to bless them. But if we're not vigilant, and if we don't sufficiently reinforce our realizations and understandings, then we run the risk of being allured, the word Srila Prabhupada uses here, allured by the glamour of the householder's worldly possessions. And that's a dangerous scenario. We go to someone's home, they've invited us to come to share Krishna consciousness, and by the grace of the Lord, they have some wonderful opulence in their life, and we go there in our humble intentions to glorify Srila Prabhupada and Krishna, and then we become distracted by the beautiful cars, the beautiful house, beautiful family, so many decorations, furniture, big TV, so many things. It just reminds me in a humorous way, when Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, the last time he visited Atlanta, I begged him, please Maharaj, can I take you to visit my son so you can bless his home? And Maharaj is so accommodating. We had such a wonderful, friendly relationship. He said, no problem, let's go. He said, but I can only stay 15 minutes because I have some appointment with this SCLC and the NAACP. He had some appointments in Atlanta. We had to go. He said, I said, no problem, Maharaj. I just want you to bless my son. So my son he's a music producer, and he had just come back from Sweden and made a lot of money. So he bought so many nice things. And he had this television, which was, I had never seen one that big. It was huge in the center of his living room. And Maharaj came and he spent time with my son and my daughter-in-law, and he was so kind to them. To this day, they remember his visit. And he told me he only had 15 minutes, but an hour and a half later, he was still preaching. He was still blessing my son and his family. And then when we left and got back in the car, he said, Balabhadra, that TV was, and he used kind of a different word. That's the biggest TV I've ever seen. He said, that thing was just huge. But he was not absorbed in the opulence of that. It was just, he was absorbed in preaching, but he noticed that distraction in the house of my son. How it's such a big thing, and absorbing so much of the energy of the person's life. But still, in his heart, he was blessing by his presence. Wherever the Vaishnava goes, the holy places go with them. Tirti Kurvani Tirtani. Wherever they are, you are the holy place. Like I think many times people spend so much money, and devotees as well. We spend so much money to go to the holy dhams. We love the holy dhams, Vrindavan, Mayapur. But it specifically, Prabhupada says, they will go to like the Ganges, Jamuna, Saraswati, Narmada, so many rivers they will go to. Travel from all over the world, travel from all over India, spend so much money, spend so much time to go to the rivers. But they don't take advantage of the saintly persons who were there. They just go and dip in the river, hoping to get some blessings. Everybody wants blessings. But the blessing is the saintly person, because in the heart of the saintly person, the Lord is there. Because everything the saintly person speaks about, everything they do is the glorification of the Lord. It just reminds me of once my former temple president, Balabhadra prabhu. We were upstairs in the Brahmachari ashram, and he pointed out something I had never thought about. We all look at Prabhupada's pictures, right? Every one of us looks at Prabhupada's pictures and we see them. But Balabhadra, he went deep. He said, look at Prabhupada, every aspect of Srila Prabhupada, in every picture is perfection. The way his eyes, the way he holds his mouth, the way he speaks, the way he holds his hand, everything about it is perfection, because Balabhadra said he's absorbed in Krishna. So it's manifesting in his bodily motions and everything. Srila Prabhupada says the face is the index of the mind. So if we're thinking of Krishna, it will be reflected in our face, in our eyes, in our smile, in the way we talk to people, in the way we talk to each other, in the way we read the books, everything. if Krishna is there already, but if we're meditating on Krishna, he's in our hearts. Sarvashachaham Rajishani Visto Matasmatyogana Vaponam Cha. He's situated there. Everything comes from him. But if we meditate on that, and that becomes what we project to the world, then that purifies those who come into contact with us, and it keeps us secure in our spiritual progress in life. But if we allow ourselves to be distracted, so these distractions are not just big TVs and big houses and all kinds of nice, wonderful allurements, as Prabhupada says, the glamour, the allurement and glamour of these things. They also become very subtle within the hearts of the devotees, within our practice of devotional service. That's why it says in the 13th chapter, verses 8 through 12, talking about the elements of knowledge, Krishna says the first one is humility. See, if we try to move forward in Krishna consciousness, neglecting the development of humility, then it's very difficult to make progress. The false ego, the misidentification with this body in our bodily situations will suppress the advancement that we're trying to make in devotional service. And then if we're not guided by experienced devotees, we won't be able to recognize it. Just like a doctor, like our dear Kaivalya Prabhu. When you walk into his office, he'll sit you down, he'll look you in your eye, he'll check your things, he'll see what are the symptoms here of this person. He'll listen to them. And from listening, from seeing, checking the records, he can understand by the symptoms what is the problem. Then he will diagnose something for that person. So by the symptoms, by these activities, we can see how we're making advancement in Krishna consciousness. So we have to be vigilant in that process. We should not allow subtle things to come in. Now, of course, it is a very difficult task to be attentive to every subtle thing that comes in. Therefore, the association of devotees is so important, because you may not be recognizing where you're going off the rail, but the other devotee that you love and trust, hopefully there's love and trust, they can see it, and then they can give you some guidance. Prabhuji, like this, like that. Mataji, like this, like that. And they listen very attentively. Sincere devotees listen very attentively. Why? Shravanam. First thing, Shravanam. We think, oh, Shravanam means just hearing about the glories of the Lord. Yes, it does. But the process of hearing, attentive hearing, should be applied in the exchanges of love between devotees as well. Rupa Goswami describes like that in his prescriptions in the Upadeshamrita. Listening confidentially, revealing one's mind in confidence, listening confidentially. What does listening confidentially mean? You can ask, like I said, Kaivalya, as a doctor, has to listen confidentially. He can't go tell the world what he just heard from his patient. There's some kind of what is called Hippocratic rule, or whatever, I forget what it is. You have some policies. You can't just disclose to the public the private conversations you have with people in that situation. Just like in the Catholic Church, I think they have the confessions, something like that. So when the devotees have love and trust with each other, then we can help protect each other. Each one of us is going through different degrees of struggle in our spiritual lives, and we're not always right on point. So that's why it's important to have loving relationships where you trust the person and the person trusts you, and then you can have sincere exchanges of love and say, Prabhuji, I noticed this. Once I had to do this with a very senior devotee, and it was very, very painful, very painful. Something was revealed about this devotee, and I had so much love and respect for that devotee that I had to go and discuss with him. Senior devotee, had been guiding me for many, many years. And I remember Jayapataka Maharaj had just finished that one book, and it was a book describing in context what to do if the spiritual master falls down. Narahari Sakur, I think that's the author of that writing. And it described in that book what to do if the spiritual master falls down. And the first thing it said was, you go to a private place, straw between your teeth, fall at the lotus feet, tears in your eyes, and you beg your spiritual master, please, please don't leave me. Please stay with us, please, please. So I took that context and I went to this devotee who I loved very much. We had a very loving relationship, and I fell at his feet. I couldn't find a straw, so I had to meditate on the straw between my teeth and seriously crying because I knew what I had to say was very, very difficult. And I said it. I explained to him what was the rumor, what was the this. And because of our loving relationship, he said to me with tears in his eyes, Prabhu, I am so sorry I let you down. I'm so sorry. Yes, this is true. I'm trying my best to regather my devotional energy. It was amazing. It was almost like an electric charge that went between us. And it solidified our relationship, being able to be open with each other. So as we're making progress in Krishna consciousness, let's not become too proud. Let's remember what it says in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13, 8 through 12. First principle, Krishna says himself, humility. Not being anxious for the satisfaction of being honored by others. So we carry that with us. So when these temptations start to rise or start to manifest, we deal with it in a humble way. Tranada pisanichena, in that way. Humble like a blade of grass. So then we'll be able to identify these dangerous distractions and pitfalls. And as I said, we reinforce this every day by continuous hearing and chanting. In the pastime of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he met the Brahmana Kurma, in that famous verse where he says, you become guru by this process. Yari deke tare kara Krishna Upadesh. You become guru by this process. You stay where you are, preach, become guru by this process. And then after that, he met the Brahmin Vasudeva. And that Vasudeva was a leper. And in India, we know leprosy is a very serious thing. So Lord Chaitanya blessed him, and his body transformed from the leprosy to a beautiful body. So this Brahmana, this devotee, he said, oh, my Lord, now I will become so proud. What will I do? How can I subdue this pride? What can I do? And Lord Chaitanya said, by incessantly chanting the holy names. Incessantly. That means no stoppage. You want to keep that pride out of your life because that pride will drag you away from the pure path of devotional service. It will. If we allow pride to come into our lives, become proud of what we do in Krishna consciousness, become proud of what we know from studying Shastra, become proud of our position, become proud of our possessions in Krishna consciousness, it can distract us and take us off that path. So Lord Chaitanya told him, incessantly chanting, Sattatam kirtayanto mam, always chant my glories. Manmanan bhavamad bhakto. That whole concept is to constantly think of Krishna. So when the mind starts to veer off, we know how to bring it back. Bhajahure mananshi, bring it back to the hearing about the glories of the Lord. That's for all of us, whether we're gurus, GBCs, temple presidents, leaders, whatever, department heads, older devotees, younger devotees, all these labels that we, brandish around, we throw it around, all these labels we put on each other. This one has that degree, this one has this, all these different things. They're like labels. And if we identify with them, it takes us away from the simple. Gopir Bhata Pada Kamalayot, Dasa Dasa Anudasa. I'm the servant of the servant. I'm not a Brahmana. Prabhu, what are you? I'm a Brahmana. I am a older devotee. I am a ISKCON leader. I am a this or that. I'm a guru, whatever. Of course, these are designations that have specific responsibilities connected with them, and we have to fulfill our obligations, but we should not be allured by the glamour of these things. They are glamorous, just like, for instance, being a guru is glamorous. It is. Sitting on the big seat, beautiful garlands coming to you, someone serving you, cooking for you, cleaning for you, servants traveling with you. It's a very alluring environment if you're not careful. And we have seen, not only in our movement, but throughout the history, how this thing can drag you away, this allurement of a position in Krishna consciousness. So that is very, very dangerous. Like in Christianity, it says, pride goes before the fall. or cometh before the fall. Pride is there, you're going to fall. So when you see that pride of any aspect, I remember once we were chanting downtown Atlanta. In the old days, our temple president made everybody go in Harinam. The whole temple had to go in Harinam at least once or twice a week. So we were down at this place at Georgia State University, very famous location. And we were chanting. It was very beautiful. And I remember to this day. So this devotee, Gokula Ranjana Prabhu, was very attached to these kartals. He loved kartals. That was his favorite thing. He didn't play mridanga. He didn't really sing that good, but he loved the kartals. And he asked Balabhadra, we would stop during the kirtan sometimes and have a class with the devotees and talk about philosophy. So he asked this question, Balabhadra Prabhu, when I go back to Godhead, can I take my kartals with me? And Balabhadra said, no. If you try to do that, you'll get stuck in the Mahatattva. You won't go back to Godhead because you can't take these with you. Don't be so proud of that. This is for Krishna's service. So we have to be attentive to all these things. By the practice of devotional service, Krishna takes care of so many things. Srinvata Swakata Krishna, Punya Shravana Kirtana, Ridyantasto Yabhadrani, Vidunoti Saritatam. The Lord, when he sees that we have developed the urge to hear about him sincerely, Ridyanta, he cleanses the heart. He cleanses the heart. We can't do it. If we think that we can do it, it's impossible. It's too entangled. So the Lord does it. And then to reinforce Nasta Praisa Bhadresu, Nityam Bhagavata Sevya, Bhagavatu Tamastoke, Bhaktir Bhavati Naistaki. Regular attendance in classes on Srimad Bhagavatam. And if you're not able to physically come to this class every day, make sure you're listening some point in the day to classes, especially Srila Prabhupada. I highly recommend that you dedicate some time, even if you attend this class, dedicate some time to hear from Srila Prabhupada. Hear his voice. Hear how he preaches, how he explains, the depth of his devotion and realization is very powerful. So that reinforces our understanding and our commitment. It's like now we're preparing for Srila Prabhupada's Vyasa Puja next week, next Tuesday. It's going to be a grand celebration in Philadelphia. We're going to have a wonderful program. And we're doing that so we can refocus our dedication to Srila Prabhupada, what he gave to the world, not just to ISKCON, but to the entire universe he gave. Such pure Krishna consciousness. So then we think about him, we hear his voice. Make sure, at least between now and then, hear his voice, listen to his kirtans, listen to his classes, watch his videos. We're going to show a video at the Vyasa Puja ceremony. Absorb yourself in Srila Prabhupada. Of course, it's Janmashtami, so you won't absorb yourself in Krishna, but Krishna's more pleased when you glorify his devotee. And this is the 125th anniversary of Srila Prabhupada's appearance in this world. 125 years. Amazing. And he's not gone. You know, one reasons ill if he thinks the Vaishnava has died. He's living in sound. Srila Prabhupada is living like anything through his books and his devotees and through this movement. So in this purport, it talks about drinking poison, or yes, drinking poison and committing suicide. So we have to see how that fits into context. What does that mean? Does it mean physically just drinking poison like Lord Shiva, becoming Nilakant, blue throat? No. The poisonous things of this world, the poisonous distractions of this world. So for a sannyasi to go to someone's home and associate closely with the female part of the family or the opulence part of the family, it's like drinking poison. So therefore, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by his example as a sannyasi, he gave warning to that. In the pastime of Lord Chaitanya and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and meeting with the king Prataparudra, and Lord Chaitanya was so upset with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was hesitant to even make a request for Lord Chaitanya to meet the king, but he did. And then Lord Chaitanya said to him, actually, Sarvabhauma was asking the Lord, is it okay if I speak to you something And Lord Chaitanya says, okay, you can speak without fear. And then Sarvabhauma said, there is a king named Prataparudarai. He is very anxious to meet you, and he wants your permission. And Lord Chaitanya, as soon as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard this, he immediately covered his ears with his hands and said, my dear Sarvabhauma, why are you requesting such an undesirable thing from me? Since I am in the renounced order, it is as dangerous for me to meet a king as to meet a woman. To meet either would be just like drinking poison. So this is giving a graphic display of what it means to drink poison. For a sannyasi to meet a king is like meeting a woman, is like drinking poison. And in the last part, it goes, greatly lamenting, the Lord then informed Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, alas, for a person who is seriously desiring to cross the material ocean and engage in the transcendental loving service of the Lord without material motives, seeing a materialist engage in sense gratification or seeing a woman who is similarly interested is more abominable than drinking poison willingly. So this theme recurs about drinking poison. And I just wanted to share real quickly while we have a couple of minutes, this a little bit of the song Hari Hari Bipale, because I can imagine that in Srila Prabhupada's mind when he's thinking of this drinking poison, he's thinking of this song. And this is a new book. It's really nice. It's called the Sacred Song Symphony by Bhakti Gauravani Goswami. You can see it at Sacred Song Symphony, sacredsong.symphony.com. And he's a Srila Prabhupada disciple. And he's given all the songs that we're accustomed to, Vaishnav songs, and the commentaries are Prabhupada's commentaries, Prabhupada's classes, and it's really beautiful. So here, he says something I had really never heard. Maybe Vishnu Gada might have heard this before, but he explains in the commentary, this is Prabhupada's favorite song, as has been told by Jamuna Devi Dasi, who heard him sing it while staying at John Lennon's estate outside London in the fall of 1969. Hari Hari Bipale Janama Konainu Manusha Janama Pai Radha Krishna Nabhajiya Janiya Shuniya Bisha Kainu. O Lord Hari, I have wasted my life. Although I have obtained this rare human birth, I have not served Radha and Krishna. And thus I have knowingly drunk poison. This is Narottam Das. He's saying, knowingly, what a fool. Here's poison. This is certified poison with, skull and bones or whatever, right on the thing. And you drink it. So for a devotee to go and try to enjoy the opulence of this world, it's like drinking poison knowingly. How have we wasted our lives so long? And we should feel so sad for the people, seeing that they're knowingly, day in and day out, drinking this poison of material life, allowing themselves to be allured, infatuated with all this temporary manifestation in the material world. So the devotees go from door to door, like Shukadev Goswami, to wake up the householders. Jeev Jago, Gaurachanda Bola, wake up. How long will you sleep in the lap of the witch? You're in the lap of a witch, wake up. Like Krishna was in the lap of a witch, Putana. But we're not Krishna. So he was able to detect who this lady was. No problem. She came with poison on her breast. He sucked out the poison and her life. But he also blessed her simultaneously. So wake up, Jiva souls. That is what the devotees do. They go from town to town, village to village, door to door. Not to get money. That's another mistake devotees think. Oh, let us get money. Of course, money is good. Money is honey. Sweeter than honey, as Prabhupada would say. We can use for Krishna, but that's not the purpose of going to someone's home. Like if we go for a bhajan program in someone's home, we're hoping, they're going to give some money. Either dakshina to me or something for the temple. That's nice if they give something, no question. It's very, very good. But is that the purpose? The purpose of them giving something is that they can give something through me to Krishna for the service of Krishna. And I'm praying, Krishna, please bless this family, that they can understand this dynamic and surrender some aspect of their life or of their wealth or whatever to your service, my Lord. That is all I'm praying for. So that mentality will protect us. So again, as Narottam Das Thakur is saying, knowingly drunk poison. I've wasted my life. So we should pay attention to this. It's a very beautiful song. You get some time, go and read it. Oh Lord Hari, I have wasted my life. Although I have obtained this rare human birth, I have not served Radha and Krishna. And thus I have knowingly drunk poison by not serving Radha and Krishna. So I will stop there. It's 8:30 because I want to see if anyone has any questions or comments. Thank you all very much. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Hare Krishna devotees, any questions for Balabhadra Prabhu?
Or comments. Anyone have any further thoughts? Any further thoughts they would like to share? Vishnu, I'd love to hear if you want to add something to that. If not, we can all go have breakfast and go.
Thank you. I found it to be very instructive. Your class, on many points, going to visit people, and really with the focus of giving Krishna consciousness. That has to be the focus. That was good, right there in the verse, stated right there, and that was Sukadeva Goswami.
One comment,
Yes,
Balabhadra
Prabhu.
Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. In the verse, it specifically mentioned Griheshu Grihamedhinam.
Uh-huh.
And usually Srila Prabhupada speaks about the difference between a Grihastha and a Grihamedi. And but he doesn't in this purport, so I know you didn't comment on it, but it's interesting because a person might he only stays long enough in the house of a materialistic householder for 30 minutes, but for a devotee householder, he stays longer, right?
Yes.
Grihastha or Grihamedi means someone whose focus is only on their home, developing their home and their family life, getting money so that they can go shopping, and making their home environment as pleasing to the senses as possible. So what a grihastha means, a person who's using whatever their house or their family or their associates primarily for the purpose of serving Krishna and pleasing Krishna and the spiritual master. So it's specifically mentioned there, grihamedhi. He only stays a short time for the grihamedhis. Just an interesting point.
Yes, and it's also interesting, the class I heard from Srila Prabhupada this morning, he made that distinction as you just pointed out. He said grihasta and grihamedi. That medi, that kind of intelligence only for the griha, only for how to live in this nice place. And the grihasta also lives in a nice place, but he's in the ashram. He's in the spiritual concept of life. He's trying the best to engage his family in devotional service. And throughout the house, you'll find things that will remind him and his family of Krishna. And that makes the home very nice. But even then, devotees, very advanced devotees, they will stay for some time, but still they go on with their practice. As long as the home is, even in the devotee's home, as long as it is conducive to spiritual advancement, the devotee will love to stay, no problem. But if they detect any distraction, anything, even in the home of a devotee, sometimes it may not be the most focused home of a devotee. The advanced devotee probably will stay also to help that devotee, especially if it's a disciple. Stay to try to help them advance further. So you're right, Vishnugrada, grihasta and grihamedi. Two different things. The grihasta is trying to use his home, his opulence, his family in the service of the Lord. The grihamedi is full focused on just his material development. So we have to be very, very careful of that, very aware of that. Anyone else? Yes, Prabhu.
Go ahead. Is that your other story? You wanted to?
Yeah. Yeah, I just wanted to say that over the last few verses, we're repeating what has been repeated a lot of times, and I think the focus is in actually, making sure that we don't become grihamedis, that we stay grihastas, and it is the consciousness to keep focusing on that, and it is something that has to be done constantly. We cannot say, okay, done, I have achieved it, I'm there, it's all good. Every day we need to remind ourselves to make sure that we are developing those qualities. In every interaction that we have, are we being humble, truly being humble, not just saying it? um, Sometimes we don't have a comment or a question to ask. It's because it's there, and now it's a matter of practicing it.
Yes.
And these last few verses, that's what I've noticed, is that it's about now doing the work, to pay
That's true.
attention and to our consciousness, and to make sure that we're practicing it.
That's an excellent comment, that it's not meant that we just talk about our philosophy or we become expert at presenting our philosophy. That's not the real point. Is, as you just said, we reinforce our commitment every day, from the beginning of the morning, from the time we wake up. We should not wake up and just go, oh, whatever, yawning and making all those noises. We should wake up with the holy name vibrating, preparing, reinforcing. That reinforces right there. When you wake up, I'm a devotee, because when you're at night and you're dreaming, you forget everything. Prabhupada describes it. Practically, you forget the daytime dream and you go into the nighttime dream. Now we come into the daytime dream. So now we reinforce, I am practicing devotional service, Hare Krishna, or offering to the spiritual master. When you wake up in the morning, that begins that process. And then, like, there was one Mataji in Atlanta, she passed away some years ago, from Nepal, Sachi Sundari. Everyone in Atlanta knows the beautiful Sachi Sundari. Such a wonderful devotee. She was a Tosi Pujari, so sweet. But every morning, because we lived in the Grihastha Ashram building together with her, she was there. And from the time she woke up, going to the bathroom, taking the shower, putting on tilak, cleaning her room, she never stopped chanting mantras in the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. It was very distinct. And I said, how does she know so many mantras? I was amazed. She just kept chanting all Vaishnav things and songs and prayers in the holy name. And the whole time she had a smile on her face. I mean, throughout the day, she actually worked at a grocery store in a flower department, just walking distance from the temple. And the whole time, a smile on her face, she's chanting and glorifying Krishna, reinforcing. So I'll finish by saying, when she passed away, she had cancer. During her last days, Jayapataka Maharaj went to visit her. And the devotee who was in charge of Jayapataka Maharaj's visit said, Maharaj, he can only stay 5 minutes, 10 minutes, because he has 20 more houses to go to. He only stay 10 minutes, like that. Don't keep him. So Maharaj knew Sachi Sundari was in her last days. Sweet devotee. So he went there. She washed his feet. She offered arati. She offered prasadam. She sat at his lotus feet. And like 2 hours later, 2 hours later, practically, Maharaj was still there. And they had to pull him away. It was such a beautiful exchange of love between the guru and the disciple. Now, that's to your point, as Vishnu Guru was saying, Grihastha Grihamedi, her house was Grihastha house, truly Krishna conscious house. Everything about it was Krishna conscious. She made sure of that. And the family she stayed with, both of them got initiated because of her presence. So that is the point, we keep reinforcing Krishna consciousness throughout the day. And at the time of her leaving this world, her spiritual master came to her. Unbelievable. Spiritual master came to her and blessed her. So anyway, that is very, very important that we don't just read these books. As Sovarati is saying, we apply what we've heard today in this class, whatever little bit I've been able to say, what we heard from Vishnu Gudav, what we heard from Sobarati, what we heard from the verse, what we heard from the purport. Find something there. One word, like the word that's in my mind right now, is allured. It's in the purport. Because I become allured like anyone else. So let me be careful of being allured So when I finish this class, I meant to do it before the class. I'm going to look up the word allured and get a deeper understanding and make sure I protect myself from being allured. So everyone finds something from today's class, whether I said it or Vishnu Gada said it or Shobharati said it or in the purport. Like Vishnu Gada pointed out in the purport, Griheshu Griha Medinam. So you find something, take it with you today. Help protect yourself from the allurements of Maya. Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, yesterday I had been to some young couple's house, and like Prabhu said, Grihesi Grihamedi, this young couple, they have small children, two of them, but their house was just small apartment, and they're renting that apartment. But the apartment is, they have small screens, they put it because a 3-year-old daughter, she will run to there. So they have a Krishna, a Radha Krishna deity, small deity, and they put Bhagavatam books, and they were just, that is their prayer room. That was so, Tulsi Mata is
Very beautiful, huh?
that was really beautiful, and the way they were smiling, and they were just, I just want to go to those apartments for just like for giving Bhagavad Gita, something like that.
So
but
nice.
they both are devotees, they're initiated.
Beautiful. That's
And
beautiful.
the way they were just smiling, and they just talked to me, spoke to me, it was amazing.
Very
And
nice.
I could see that in Grahamedi, because they were family and they were there, and they are not at all showing anything like that. Only Krishna I can see there.
Very nice.
That was really touching for me. And I went with her to give some Bhagavad Gitas and about Janmashtami.
Very
And
nice. Thank
that
you
was
so
really,
much.
that was really, I enjoyed that.
Beautiful service. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Balabhadra Prabhu, I wanted to ask
Yes,
if one is fearful of becoming allured, is there justification for a devotee to refrain from preaching in fear of Maya, that they may become too attached, and then just, I guess, remove themselves from that particular service?
That's an interesting question. I have a humorous experience because I was a book distributor for many years at the Atlanta airport. And one day, in those days, they put us behind these confining things, like we called them a box, so we had to stay in the box, you couldn't go out. So I was there one day, and I believe, I was still brahmachari then. So I don't know what happened. This lady, she was like off of a magazine cover, so beautiful and amazing looking lady. Like beeline, she came straight to me at the box, and I couldn't move. And she was just interested. She saw us there. She was interested. Should I run away? Because this is a beautiful woman. And my mind was like, what should I do? Should I just run away from this? I couldn't run away because I was confined. She was interested in Krishna. So I had to make a decision. Will I allow myself to be attracted to her beauty, or should I represent Srila Prabhupada? And different people were walking by who knew me. They were like, whoa, they were kind of afraid for me. Like, what's going to happen with Benny? Because the guys at the airport, they knew me as Benny. Oh my God, look at that, But Krishna protected me because I went into that consciousness. As Prabhupada said, the women should be seen as Krishna's gopis, not your objects of enjoyment. It's a question of putting on the armor, sacred armor, ARMOUR, this sacred armor, which is chanting the holy name, hearing the Bhagavatam class. If we do all of that, we create that bubble, then even though we are subtly, like you're saying, Drona, we're afraid that might be a difficult circumstance. But if we put on that armor and we have faith in it, then we can go in these most dangerous situations, as devotees do every day all over the world, and preach Krishna consciousness. But if in consultation with the senior Vaishnavas, more experienced devotees, is detected that you're not strong enough that moment, then it may be decided. But don't make that decision on your own. I would warn the devotees, discuss that with the senior devotees. Like one time as a brahmachari, I was going through some difficulty and I didn't know what to do. I said, oh my God, should I get married, this and that? And I went to my temple president and asked him, this is my dilemma. What should I do? He said, Balabhadra, just go read the Bhagavatam. Get some strength. Go read the Bhagavatam. Krishna will help you. And it really did help. So my point one is that there are circumstances that are challenging for a devotee, and you should not be proud to think that I know all the answers. You go to the senior Vaishnavas, maybe a couple of senior Vaishnavas, and discuss it with them, and they give you some guidance, and then you get more tools, tools, to deal with the problems. You can't run away from problems in life. They're going to be, wherever you go, they're going to be there. Inside a room, you can find it. Your mind will be your worst enemy. You think, well, I'm not going to go out because I'll be attracted to material whatever. And you stay back in the room, and then your mind attacks you. And you if you're not strong enough to go out and preach, then you're probably not strong enough to deal with the mind coming after you constantly, day in and day out. Between every mantra, the mind is trying to drag you away. So, you have to sort of see. So my point would be, take guidance from more experienced devotees in those kinds of mental conflicts, emotional conflicts in spiritual life. That would be my encouragement.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Okay. Are there any other comments or questions? Okay, we could end here. Thank you very much, Balabhadra Prabhu. A wonderful
Thank you
class.
all. Thank
For being
you
with
all.
us here on this Thursday morning. I want to invite everyone to come this evening. We have shloka learning starting at 6:40. And then at 7 o'clock, we have our Srila Prabhupada Leela night. So please tune in, the same Zoom channel. We hope to see you.
Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna. Have a
Hare
wonderful,
Krishna.
have a wonderful Krishna conscious day.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Thank you, Mataji.
सर्वेश्वर कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः।
Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण।